Hi everybody, this is Gijs again with another review, and this time I am reviewing the Primus PrimeTech stove set. It's a cooking set for 2 to 5 persons and usable in 3 seasons. So if you're interested in lightweight cooking, watch the video. I got rid of the box and this is what's inside it. It's quite a large cooking set. The weight in total 1095.7 grams, and that's way heavier than the weight Primus promises on the box itself or on their website, because they state it should be 870 grams. Then the pack size, it's about 13.5 centimeters high and the diameter is 20.2 centimeters. Well, now let's open the pouch and see what's inside. Okay, I had to go and look for a little piece of wood because otherwise all the small parts will disappear in the grass, and that's not very useful to you. Well, first we got a lid, the grabber for the pans, a piezo igniter. Then there is of course the burner and wind guard plus hose and gas regulator. Then we have something which should not be in there, but I put it in there just to prevent it from scratching. Then we've got one pot, 2.3 liters, and we've got the other pot of 2.3 liters. And then something that was not stated on the packaging and is not also stated on the website. It's this piece of aluminium, foldable, which you place of course underneath your burner to prevent the grass from scorching or burning. And then there's last but not least, there is the pouch, which is not only a pouch to carry the whole system, but it's also a thick wall isolating pouch, so that you're, for example, if you're cooking rice, you cook it for 5 minutes, then you drain it a bit, you put the pots with the lid inside this one, you close it, this goes very easy, and you let the rice simmer for another 10 to 15 minutes without the gas, and you're being very fuel efficient. So these are all the parts. Now let's talk about how the PrimeTech stove works. But to show you how it works, I need some more ingredients, so I'll hop over to my tent and get them. Okay, what's never included in the package, of course, is the gas itself. So to get the system running, just remove the lid of the gas, don't lose it into nature, put that one aside, and you just screw the gas onto the gas regulator. Gas canister is officially the name, I believe. Well, then the stove itself, as you can see, there are 3 legs inside here, or pot supports. This is the low position, and then there is also a higher position. This is the position that you use if you are using, for example, frying pans, because they just need more width. I'll fold them back again, because for the pots that come standard with the stove set it's not necessary. As you can see, there is no igniter here, and that's where this one comes in, the piezo igniter. It's just a press on the button, and then here there's a spark, and this spark ignites the gas if you let it flow. I'll show you this later. Then we go on to the pots. This one, it's a 2.3 liter pot. There is a measuring division inside, so you know how much water you're pouring actually into it. This one is made out of aluminium that's been anodized, so this one is quite sturdy. Then we go to the other one, which is the one with the, of course this is also aluminium and anodized on the outside, but on the inside you can see there is a coating, and this one is a ceramic coating. There's also a, where is it, a measuring device in this one to measure the amount of fluid or food you put into it. What I've noticed, and that's why this one is here, is that when you put these two together, this is a really tight fit. You don't have the possibility to put anything between this. And I can see already the scratch marks from this pen getting into the ceramic coating, which is of course a pity. I didn't find a way to solve this. If I put this one in and I put the stove in here, I get little scratches as well. So that's why I use this one to prevent that, because this one is a bit more giving more scratches than just these two in each other. Then the good thing, the best thing about the Primus PrimeTech, everybody who knows Primus for some time and who knows basically Jetboil, they have seen this type of bottom of the pen. It's a ring, and in the ring there are a lot of metal weavings, if you could say it. It's like W's connecting to each other. When you put the pots onto the burner, onto the stove, the heat goes of course underneath it, but it also goes into all these little metal parts, and they transfer the heat to the pot. So this one heats up way faster than the normal one. So if you're cooking and you want it really fast, you use this one. And because you're cooking faster, it's also way more fuel efficient, but more on fuel efficiency later. Well, this is quite easy, fits perfectly. As you can see, there's a nice tight fit to block the wind as well. And then there is the lid. It fits on this one, and of course it fits on this one as well. In the lid it's made out of a plastic. There are all little holes, so if you're cooking a pasta, you can always use the grabber. Oh, let me unlock it. Use the grabber, hold the lid and pour the remaining water. What I think is really a key feature on the lid itself is not the pouring, but is this little piece of silicone. Because it's silicone, even if you boil water for a long time, the lid gets really hot, but the silicone part doesn't get hot, which is very finger friendly basically. So that's the lid. Then this one, and please let me use my other hand because I'm right-handed. The grabber. I'm not sure about this one, because this works, and then in contrary to the old one, this one has a blocking system, so now it doesn't come off the pot itself. But as you can see, I'm not too sure. Now the pot is empty, but if it's full of water or maybe even with food, it's quite heavy. And then this piece, it feels a little bit wobbly, and that's something I don't like. The old ones, you just grab them and that's it, and it was a very firm fit. Yeah, you cannot leave them onto the pot itself, that's true, but why would I? Because I've tried this now on several months, and when you're cooking, there is of course heat coming from the sides, and it's getting into the handle, and this one gets really hot. So don't leave it on there when you're cooking, so it's not really useful in that way. Good thing is that with the lid, they of course thought of the fact that you have to put the the grabber there as well, so there's a hole. And if you have, for example, you see what happens. And when you have, for example, potatoes, you can pour the water through this one as well. It's a good thing. Now let me boil some water to show you how it really works. Just pour some water in there, not too much. Let's be fuel efficient, so put the lid on, and then now the trick is I have to open the gas, and this is where I'm getting irritated. Look closely. 1, 2.5. Now I can hear gas flowing, very, very gentle. And when I want to lit it, I do it like this. Maybe it's not flowing. Now I hear it. How many turns was that? 2.5. Now, I can smell the gas, but actually this is not being a very friendly system. So let me do it like this. And now I have ignition. This is costing gas, so this is not fuel efficient. Then I don't think you can hear the burner, and I'll tell you more about the noise later. And then it takes again 2.5 turns of the handle to get it into full burner mode, maximum power. Okay, now I'll try to put the microphone down there so you can hear what this thing is producing on maximum power. You hear, this is quite silent. And in fact, the Primus PrimeTech, it's the stove that's the most silent stove I've ever tested. It produces 59.2 decibels. That's the same amount of noise as people who are talking on a normal voice to each other. So it's a very silent burner. Is it fuel efficient? Yes, it is. I do all the measurements in my shed because I don't want to have changing circumstances with wind or maybe clouds and sun. My shed, it's been proven a good concept for years already, so I have some reference of burners I tested in the past as well. The temperature in my shed is 20 degrees, the water temperature is 20 degrees, and I put 1 liter inside the pot, and it takes, in this case, 3 minutes and 34 seconds to boil 1 liter of water. Does this mean the PrimeTech is the fastest stove in the world? No, it is not, but it's almost the fastest one, because my old ETA Power was way quicker with 1 liter of water. I think I measured about 2 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that. And more recent burners, because the ETA Power is not for sale anymore, the Jetboil Joule, for example, does 3 minutes and 5 seconds, so that one is faster. And the Trangia Sul 25, which is a big cooking system as well, does it in 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Then fuel consumption, is it efficient? Yes, it is, because to boil 1 liter of water, it takes 10.1 grams of gas, and that's almost the same as the previous ETA Power I tested a long time that I still use at home, and it's more fuel efficient than the Jetboil or the Trangia. So in that way, it is a very good cooking system. And if you have a canister of 230 grams, you can cook 23 liters of water with this one, depending of course on the circumstances, because if it's colder it takes more fuel, of course, and when you're high in the mountains it also takes more fuel. So, and now I've been talking, you can see the water is almost to a rolling boil, so now you can see how long I've been chatting away. So the water has been boiling. As I mentioned before, the gas regulator, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing in my opinion, because if I have to turn this 2.5 turns to get the gas flowing and not hearing it, I'm not too sure about this. I'd rather hear the gas flowing, and I'd rather have this in, let's say like this, because that's a movement. This, you lose track of what you're doing. When you've turned it 2.5 times and you got your gas going and you got the burner going, then it takes 2.5 times to get to maximum power output. So that means 2.5 times of gas flame regulation, which might be a good idea if you want to simmer food and if cooking is going to be a very long process. But normally in my outdoor life, when we are backpacking or even when we are away with the car, I want things to happen fast. So it's just on maximum power, boil water and get stuff like this ready, because we're hungry. Even when we're cooking with not packaged food but with real food, oh lovely, the sun is coming out again. with real food, then it's mostly frying, so you need a lot of power. Then you start cooking. Even if you do rice, that's a good thing. You boil it for, let's say, 5 minutes. That's a quick boil, and then you just leave it, turn off the gas, leave it. You don't need to regulate it in 2.5 turns. If you want gas regulation, and I notice this on all my other burners that I have, it always takes about maybe half, maybe 1, but never 2.5. I think this is too much of a hassle and not really user friendly. Then on to the conclusion. How do I rate the Primus PrimeTech stove set 2.3 liters? I think in basics it's a good cooking set, but it's got some flaws. On the positive side, it's a very fuel efficient set, and it's very quiet. So if you're looking for a silent burner, then this is definitely the set to buy. On the negative side, I don't like the separate piezo, and I think that the grabber doesn't grab the pots firmly enough. It's a bit too wobbly. Then the regulator, I think turning it 5 times from 0 to maximum power is way too much. And it's nice that you can simmer your food and that you've got a very broad reach of adjusting the flame, but I think it's a bit too much. It should be about 1.5 turns maximum, to my opinion. So that's what I don't like. Then there's this thing about the weight. The set weighs way more than Primus promises, so that's a negative point as well. And then there's this thing about the price. It's 169 euros and 95 cents, and that's a lot of money for a cooking system that's not 100% perfect. So I rate the Primus PrimeTech stove set 2.3 liters at 3.5 stars. I hope this video review was useful to you, and if it was, please leave a comment below and give the video a like. And please also like my Facebook page and follow me on Instagram, because I really need your support. I do this work for free. I am a blogger, vlogger, a journalist by heart, and I like to keep maintaining my work as an independent tester, reviewer. So please check, like and follow. And if you do, many thanks in advance. And for now, I wish you a very pleasant outdoor life. Ciao! And now my water is boiling and I can go for my meal.